For many weeks now, we've been talking about what's going on in Portland as Donald Trump has sent in his goons, which are maybe some cops, maybe some soldiers, maybe some mercenaries. We don't really know. Isn't America great? And they've been brutalizing people, and we've been showing you those videos. Well, they are now being dispatched to other cities, and that is going to cause all sorts of new problems. We're going to show you a video, though, from New York City that is not actually Trump's goons, although you could be forgiven for not at first realizing it. Here is the NYPD arresting an activist. Okay, so that apparently just happened, by the way, in New York City, and I want to give credit, by the way, to Michelle LaHouque, who apparently took that video, originally an independent journalist, who has more information available on her Twitter and her Substack as well. So we have a little bit of information about that, but just to be clear, as I said in the intro to the story, that is not this force, this Trump force that's gone in. That's the NYPD in plain clothes, snatching 18-year-old Nikki Stone and dragging her away in a Kia.
Yeah, it really underscores like just how hollow the New York City government and the response to these uprisings has been. Like they painted Black Lives Matter on the street outside of Trump Hotel or Trump Tower, and de Blasio had tweeted like, "What's happening in Portland will never happen here." Here it is. What are you going to do about it? I don't know what else to say, like what to make people care. I mean, we've got jackbooted thugs throwing people into unmarked vans. Is that a society you want to live in? Like, we live in a police state, and people are just like making justifications for it. Like, oh, well, she might have damaged property. Like, maybe you could just respond a little bit differently than abruptly grabbing someone off the street and throwing him into an unmarked vehicle. You have no idea what's going on. And what I'm hearing and what I've heard from people on the ground in Portland, what's happening there is people are denied due process. They're having their phones taken away from them, never given them back. They're snooping through their personal information, their contacts to develop like networks and to see who they talk to. This is extremely shady, and the deployment, in which we could see later in other cities, the deployment of DHS and ICE and BORTAC, extremely dangerous threats to our freedom and liberty and a right to assemble.
Yeah. And by the way, like you said there, is this the country you want to live in? Is this what you want to see? Hold on to that thought, because we have someone who very much does like to see this, and that is the country they want to live in, which we'll be playing in just a little bit. Someone very much on the opposite side of things is Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who tweeted out that video saying, "Our civil liberties are on brink. This is not a drill. There is no excuse for snatching women off the street and throwing them into unmarked vans. To not protect our rights is to give them away. It is our responsibility to resist authoritarianism." And that's the thing. Again, this is just the NYPD that apparently has seen what Trump's people are doing and have probably rightfully come to the conclusion, we can get away with it. No one's going to stop us. We can just start to do that. And so they say in a statement that she was wanted for damaging police cameras during 5 separate criminal incidents in and around City Hall Park. We'll see if that ends up being remotely true. They said in their statement, when officers from the warrant squad took the woman into custody in a gray NYPD minivan this evening, they were assaulted with rocks and bottles. So 2 things in there. First, about the supposed assault. Clara Kraber, who was there, said none of that happened whatsoever. We literally turned the corner and were met with a line of police who attacked us without warning. Kraber said officers pepper sprayed the group, quote, seemingly at random during the arrest, adding they were trying to make it painful to be there. Another witness told Gothamist that the protesters had been skateboarding and eating pizza before the van's unexpected arrival. And you saw at the beginning of that video that Nikki was on a skateboard when she was grabbed by what hopefully ends up being cops, I guess, because there's now a precedent where theoretically 4 to 5 guys wearing vests can just drive around and snatch people away. And if you fight back, you better hope that it's not secretly police or something, and not just some random person using the insane fascist environment that's cropped up in America to just start kidnapping people. Because this certainly has become a great time to be a kidnapper.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely horrifying. I mean, what's De Blasio doing? What is Cuomo doing? Like, I'm sick and tired of this vote blue no matter who. I can't even say what I want to say, but I'm tired of this vote blue no matter who, because here you go. This is the end result. You have a Democratic mayor with a Democratic governor. What are they doing in response? I'm tired. Painting Black Lives Matter on the street in front of Trump Tower isn't going to solve the problem. It's absolute garbage.
Yeah. It is garbage. And by the way, the NYPD can say, oh, it was a gray NYPD minivan. It was a Kia. That's all it was. It was a car. Yeah. It was a car. Okay, put a cop in my car, and it's a maroon NYPD Scion. No, it's somebody's car. It's not a police car. It's not a police minivan. It's just some car. And again, if they can do it, then theoretically, some crazies like militia members and Boogaloo Boys and the white supremacists who have been infiltrating these protests to try to cause damage. We found out that umbrella guy was in fact a white supremacist. That shocked a lot of people. What if they start doing this? They could pull up in a minivan, drag away a protester, and they won't fight back, because we've now been trained that these are just cops. These are just Trump's goons, whatever. They're, mercenaries or something. And that's what worries me, and it sounds like it worries you, Jordan. Doesn't worry everybody, though, because when Chris Hayes tweeted out that video saying, "This is kidnapping," Ted Cruz responded, "Odd term for an arrest." And look, Ted Cruz is obviously the senator in this story, but Chris Hayes' tweet had any number of replies that were just, oh, what did she do beforehand? This is just an arrest. Why are you fighting back against the cops? So to your question earlier, is this the country we want to see? We need to remind ourselves that there's a lot of people that this is exactly the country they'd like to see. They're not scared of fascism because they believe, probably falsely, but whatever, that it won't actually come to hurt them, just the people that they hate.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if like a Unite the Right person or an Unite the Right attendant was thrown in an unmarked vehicle. What Ted Cruz's reaction would be. Mm-hmm. I'd wager that he would say, "Oh, well, I might not agree with their worldview. That we shouldn't have this." Well, now that it's happening to one of his political enemies, he doesn't care. And it really shows how hollow this posturing is from the right around like liberty and freedom and assembly and all this kind of stuff. They want to be constitutionalists and originalists when it's convenient for them. When it happens to political enemies, they don't care.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't remember exactly who tweeted, but there was a tweet to the effect of, if that van had pulled up and the cops had just taken people's AR-15s away, the right would be losing their minds. But when it's a human, they don't care, so long as they have been trained to believe that's probably a leftist or something. Or at least somebody you don't have to worry about. They're probably just a terrorist. They're Antifa. I want to quickly read a section. Cody Johnston posted a section from a book, and I just want to read a little bit just to give people something to think about. Fascist violence was neither random nor indiscriminate. It carried a well-calculated set of coded messages. That communist violence was rising, that the democratic state was responding to it ineptly, think about Trump's quotes about democratic mayors, and that only the fascists were tough enough to save the nation from anti-national terrorists. An essential step in the fascist march to acceptance and power was to persuade law and order conservatives and members of the middle class to tolerate fascist violence as a harsh necessity in the face of left provocation. It helped, of course, that many ordinary citizens never feared fascist violence against themselves because they were reassured that it was reserved for national enemies and terrorists who deserved it. Every part of that is playing out right now, from Tucker Carlson labeling Antifa, everybody involved in the protests, as a terrorist that should be frog marched away. He's been doing that for literally months now. Everything Trump says about we need to go in. If the Democratic mayors aren't going to save things, we need to go in. To people responding to people like Chris Hayes saying, well, it's just they shouldn't be breaking the law. If they don't want to be brutalized, they shouldn't break the law. We're seeing all of it play out. It's sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. We should be able to learn from the past, from other people, other countries that had horrific experiences with this, that had to suffer for countless years, countless lives lost. We could learn from that, but unfortunately, people like Ted Cruz are always going to be there to lick the boot, you know, and tell you to just lay down and have it placed on your neck.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.